Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jimmy Fowler. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist for the Houston Galveston office, and today I'll be giving you an update on Tropical Storm Bertha as it is approaching the region pretty much as we speak. And then we also talk about a little bit about the hot and humid weather that is going to continue through this weekend. So, changes since yesterday, from yesterday's briefing. The tropical storm watches that were in effect yesterday were increased to a warnings for today, but again, that's in effect for only for Chambers County, coastal Galveston, and coastal Brazoria counties. However, significant impacts are still not expected. We're not anticipating any impacts from coastal flooding or heavy rainfall. We are looking at increased risk of some rip currents, and we may see some isolated gusts to weak tropical storm force winds along the immediate coast and over the coastal waters through this evening. And again, we're looking at the continued hot and humid conditions through the next several days, but we're not looking as hot as yesterday. Yesterday was the hottest day of the week. Here is the 10 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center showing Tropical Storm Bertha. So it has maintained maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour and is moving west at around 10 miles per hour. So it's kind of going to be kind of skirting just along the Gulf Coast as it approaches the upper Texas coast. The tropical storm warnings are in effect through 6 a.m. Friday for Chambers, coastal Galveston, and coastal Brazoria counties. Again, we're really just looking at the potential for some gust to weak tropical storm force winds along the immediate coast. Bertha is expected to dissipate this evening into tonight. So while the tropical storm warnings are in effect right now through 6 a.m. Friday, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, it's expected that once Bertha officially dissipates, we'll be dropping those warnings before then. Again, we're not looking at any threat for any coastal flooding or rainfall impacts. This is the map for the tropical storm warning. Again, we're just looking at Chambers County, coastal Galveston, coastal Brazoria County, as well as Galveston Bay, the waters off of Galveston Bay, as well as all of our offshore waters. We do have a small craft advisory in effect for Matagorda Bay and the immediate waters off of Matagorda. Again, we're looking at more of a lower end tropical storm gusts are possible within the tropical storm warning area. This is a satellite as around 10:30 this morning. You can actually see the center of circulation kind of passing just along the Louisiana-Texas border. And like we have been seeing for the past several days, is that the bulk of the thunderstorms associated with Bertha is being displaced well to its south. So where we have these reds and oranges is where we're seeing the thunderstorms associated with Bertha, and there is a very large disconnect from where the center of the storm is and to where those thunderstorms are happening. So right now, the bulk of those thunderstorms are happening to our south, along our southern waters, and then into areas south of our area. Taking a look at radar, so the looping image on the right is from the Lake Charles radar, which is closer to where the center of the storm is, and you can kind of see that swirl as it kind of is tracking along the coastline. You can also see the swirl in the surface obs of where the center of the storm is. So it's pretty likely that is where the center of the storm is. We are tracking one strong thunderstorm over our coastal waters down off of Matagorda, and that's going to be kind of continuing to move westward over the next hour or so. This is the probability of wind gusts. We're looking at around for probability of wind gusts greater than 30 miles per hour. The bulk of that is going to be off the coast, with around a 30% chance down along the immediate coastline. And we may see some isolated breezier winds further inland as the center of the storm moves through, but really, we're not anticipating any significant winds really at all, but if anything, just off the coast. And then looking on the right-hand side, the probability of wind gusts greater than 45 miles per hour. So yesterday at this time, we were looking at probabilities of around 10 to 20% off the coast. That has now decreased to, below 10% for a large portion of our coastal waters. Taking a look at rainfall probabilities, we could see some isolated showers and thunderstorms along the immediate coast, but we are not anticipating any significant heavy rainfall. The probability of rainfall greater than 1 inch is, kind of confined just to the coastline of around 20 to 30 to maybe 40% down along the immediate coast. But then as you go really any further inland, that threat goes to basically zero. So that's really all I have to talk about with Bertha at this moment. I'm going to talk now more about heat. I do want to touch on what happened yesterday. We saw some pretty extreme temperatures across the region. We had triple-digit temperatures for pretty much all of Southeast Texas. We even had record high temperatures set at both the Bush and Hobby climate sites, as well as Galveston and Palacios. We hit 102 at Houston Hobby, Houston Bush, and College Station, and we even got to 100 degrees down on Galveston. Taking a look at the max heat index values across the region, I mean, we got well into the teens, the like 115 plus across the region. And one thing that is really sticking out to me is that max heat index value of 122 felt down on Galveston Island. So yesterday it was hot. And we're going to continue to see hot weather through at least this weekend, probably even beyond this weekend, with high temperatures in the mid to upper 90s, and then heat indices in the triple digits through the weekend. For today, we have a heat advisory in effect for our northern and western portions of the region. Where we don't have the heat advisory in effect, that's where we're anticipating the bulk of the cloud cover associated with Bertha, helping to keep things at least a little more on the cooler side, but I mean, it's still going to be hot and humid. But yep, we have high temperature stay in the mid to upper 90s with heat indices around 106 to 110, especially in the heat advisory area. So takeaways, we have the tropical storm warnings in effect for Chambers, coastal Galveston, and coastal Brazoria counties through tomorrow morning, but that is likely to be dropped off once Bertha dissipates this evening. May see some gust to weak tropical storm force winds along the immediate coast, but otherwise no significant impacts are not expected for Southeast Texas. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible through this afternoon and evening, but we're not anticipating any threat for any coastal flooding or rainfall, but there will be a risk of rip currents along area beaches. The hot and humid conditions continue through this weekend. Yesterday was the hottest day of the week, but we are looking at the potential for we have the heat advisories in effect for parts of the region today, and it's likely we'll see continued heat advisories through the next couple of days. That is all I have for you this afternoon. This will be the final webinar talking about Tropical Storm Bertha, because it is expected to be dissipated by late this evening or late tonight.